The protesting judicial workers led by one Mr. Gbenga Eludire prevented movement into the premises of the State High Court. Osun State members of the Judicial Staff Union, JSU, on Monday shut down the entrance to the Osun State High Court in Osogbo, the state capital, in protest against the sacked Chief Judge, Justice Adeleke Ojo, and the management of the activities of the judiciary in the state. The protesting judicial workers led by "We are tired of oppression and stagnation, an unlawful suspension of judiciary staff without recourse to Judicial Service Commission." We have guesting on this segment of the show. Joining us is human rights activist Ayo Ologun. Today's Ayo Ologun. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure is all ours. We really appreciate this. We know you are really sacrificing to be part of this show. Would you want to give us a recapitulation of what is happening in Osun State?
Well, what is happening in Osun State has become a national issue, such that, except for those who don't follow the trend or the news, who don't know exactly what is happening in Osun State in the last few days. But then a lot of people do not have the understanding that what is happening was not just an event that started last week. If you recall, or if you follow the news, this whole thing started way back in the month of June. If you look at the front page of the Tribune newspaper of June 12, you will see it really captured there, the crisis that was brewing in the judiciary in Osun when the Senior Advocate of Nigeria accused the state government denied, and of course, the order for the CJ to resign and all of that. So this imbroglio didn't just start yesterday. It started way back many months ago. But at a time when everybody thought that the issue had been laid to rest, when everybody thought that reasoning has been allowed to reign, we woke up last week Tuesday, particularly for those of us in the society movement, we woke up last week Tuesday to an information that the state government had written a petition forwarded to the NJC against the CJ of the state. And I recall that myself and a number of other human rights activists in the state addressed a press conference on Wednesday where we warned the state governor to stay clear of interfering in issues that has to do with the judiciary. We also warned the state assembly not to allow themselves to be used as tool in what is seemingly political. But that wording was not heeded to. By the morning of Thursday, sometimes in the afternoon, a press statement was issued by the chief press secretary to the governor, which is the spokesperson to the governor, Rashid Olawale, purportedly announcing the decision of the governor of the state acting on the resolution of the State House of Assembly to suspend the TJ of the state.
Before getting to the suspension, what specifically has the state government alleged against the chief judge or the suspended chief judge or sacked chief judge before in the letter that was sent to the NJC?
Before the one that was sent to the NJC last week, the one that brewed between the month of June and August had to do with the call of the state government that the CJ should resign. You remember that until a few weeks ago, the age for judicial officers used to be 65. So the state government was envisaging that the CJ would have attained the age of 65 on the bench and would resign. And would leave. But unfortunately, the National Judicial Council reviewed the age of justice from 65 to 70, which made it possible for the chief judge to spend another 4 years or more in office. And that was where the state government had to define other means. I'm aware that one or two organizations wrote a petition accusing the chief judge of impropriety, accusing her of mismanagement of funds, accusing her of abuse of power in office. These were the issues that the state government also put together and were laying their claim of accusation upon which they claimed that the suspension of the CJ of the state
the next logical question to ask is, does a governor within the context of the 1999 Constitution as amended, does the governor have the powers to sack the chief judge of a state?
Absolutely not. If you look at Section 299 of the Constitution, the Constitution as amended, there are two provisos for the suspension of a CJ. One is based on the resolution of the House of Assembly, which is expected that such a resolution will be passed on to the Judicial Council. The Judicial Council will look at the issues, call and investigate the purported accused person. And whatever the decision of the NJC is what is to be communicated back to the state government for action. But in this case, only God knows what the ori is about on the part of Adeleke as the governor of the state, or the legislature, which is, of course, a willing tool in the hand of the governor. Only God knows what they are after. Only God knows what the ori is about. Because ordinarily, no matter the accusation, I'm not saying Adeleke Ojo is a saint. I'm not saying that the things she has been accused of, she has not perpetrated them. That's not the issue. She might have committed the offenses that have been summed up of a judicial officer or the head of a court. Those are the two provisions in the Constitution. When there's an allegation against the head of a court or a judicial officer, such allegations should be reported to the NJC, who will look at the issues, then take a decision and communicate such decision to the state government for action.
So somebody like you now, hello, Ayo.
To pass through the due process, the erroneous. I'm with you.
Ayo, so
I'm very much with you.
Somebody like you now is particular about respect for the processes, the procedure.
Exactly. For me and good meaning Nigerians, it's not about the person of Adeleke Ojo. I don't know what she looks like. I've never met her. So the struggle that I have led in the state is about the respect for the rule of law. These things are simple. The three arms of government are independent: the legislature, the executive, and the judiciary. There's no way in the world where the power to interfere in the issues of the judiciary lies in the hand of the executive or the legislature. So the government of the Osun State, and by extension the House of Assembly, should have respected the provision of the separation of power and followed due process. So for me, it's not about the person of Adeleke Ojo, what she has been accused of. It is about the abuse of the process and the abuse of the rule of law.
But
that's what we're follow the rule of law.
You, as somebody who is on the ground, is it not using the precedent of what happened to the usurper chief judge in Ekiti during the Fayose fiasco? Is it not somewhat disturbing that another character in the Osun judiciary, who has purportedly been appointed as the acting chief J, is now parading himself in that position?
No, I think that would be wrong information. The person that the Osun State government purportedly appointed as the acting CJ did not provide himself for swearing in. So as it is today in Osun State does not have the head of the judiciary, because the person that the state government appointed as the acting CJ failed to present himself for swearing in. And I think that is wise on the part of that person, following precedents. Just like you've made an allusion, what happened in the case of Ekiti State also happened in Rivers State at some point. So I'm sure that the person that the state government wanted to appoint as the acting CJ must have learned lesson from what befell those who allowed themselves to be used in this circumstance. He must have learned lessons from them and take lessons from precedents. That is why he did not present himself for swearing in. So as it is today, Osun State does not have a chief judge, neither does Osun State as an acting chief judge. The judiciary in Osun State is without leadership.
And for somebody like you now, you probably you are one of those who are perturbed that the politicians are typically in their grab it all mentality. The politicians are also trying to elongate their dirty hands to choke the machinery of justice or the judicial architecture in Osun State.
Absolutely. And this is the concern for us. That look, we cannot continue to do what is unacceptable in international practice. You cannot continue, because you have the power of the executive governor of the state, begin to poke your hand into things that are beyond you. Look, the fact that somebody is a governor does not mean he possesses absolute power. That is why the Constitution, which is the grand norm in the country, provided for separation of power so that there can be check and balances. The fact that Adeleke is governor of Osun State today does not in any way empower him to be absolute in every term. Of course, we know the game he played in the appointment or the election or selection, as the case may be, of the Speaker of the Assembly, and now the Assembly has been turned themselves into a rubber stamp of everything that the executive does. So if you have captured the executive,
like in most states,
you not allow him to capture the judiciary, because that is the last hope of the people.
Adeologun, like in most states of the Federation, the legislatures of the states' houses of assembly are largely puppets of the governors, except in some very few states.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Osun State is not an exception. The House of Assembly in Osun is the puppet of the governor. They were handpicked. All the members of the House of Assembly in Osun State presently were practically handpicked by the governor of the state. The Speaker of the House of Assembly was practically forced on that assembly as the Speaker, even when the provision of the law we did not allow for it. If you remember that the Speaker of the House of Assembly is a first-timer, which the governor handpicked and forcefully appointed or selected as the Speaker of the House. So if the governor felt he has captured the executive, he has captured the legislature, now he's poking his hand to also capture the judiciary. If we allow him to succeed with this, that means the whole
Adeologun, we really have to thank you. We know that you have had to we know that you have had to do this interview in very extenuating circumstances, and we do verily appreciate you. Thank you for the enlightenment.